What's up, everyone? It's your boy Norn Rad 89 here, and yes, it's almost time. We're wrapping up the end of the year, and it's finally time to talk about the top 10 horror films of the year. These are the films that totally impressed me. These are the ones that are the long-lasting ones that are going to definitely easily make their way into my collection for sure. And I also do have a few honorable mentions as well. So today you're going to hear, like I said, my thoughts on 2024 as a whole as well, because I think horror fans, to be honest, like coming from me, I'm a huge horror fan, and knowing the horror community, we are eating very well. There are some fantastic films that came out this year, and I think this is one of the past 5 years. This is one of my, like I said, top 2 years, I think, in terms of horror films. So let's get down to talking about my favorite horror films that came out this year. Roll it. So let's talk about some honorable mentions first. I got 3 on this list, and first we're going to talk about Mr. Crockett, a great throwback to 90s nostalgia. Having kids, when you get obsessed with television or a certain TV show, this one has some haunting kind of Nightmare on Elm Street vibes. Really cool performances, especially by our antagonist character, so I highly recommend Mr. Crockett. Another one is VHS Beyond. Yes, we got a new entry into the VHS franchise this year, and I think VHS Beyond knocked it out of the park. There was really only one story that I wasn't that cool with. All the other stories were slam dunk fun ones that I enjoyed. So VHS Beyond, another honorable mention. And then we also have In a Violent Nature, one of the most experimental horror films that came out this year, and this one I was on board with. I'm a sucker for Friday the 13th and any kind of slasher vibes, and when you have these amazing camp settings and this kind of, almost like simply just place film where we follow the killer and stuff like that. Amazing practical effects and amazing kills. So In a Violent Nature, very, very awesome experimental horror film that came out this year. Now let's open up the top 10 with some vampire horror. Yes, vampire horror is back. We had some really cool slam dunk vampire horror over the last couple years, and I'm opening up the top 10 with Abigail. Yes, Abigail is done by Radio Silence, the same people that brought us Ready or Not, and Abigail has some really cool, charismatic characters. Melissa Barrera in here is fantastic. Even the young actress that plays Abigail, I thought she was really amazing as well. The only thing is kind of the marketing. It kind of sucks that they let you know right off the bat that she was a vampire. It would have been kind of cooler if you were able to go into the film not knowing that, and it was a total surprise, but this is kind of one of those fun vampire films, you know what I mean? It's got gruesome moments, but it's over-the-top gore. There's action in it, and like I said, really cool dialogue and fun, charismatic characters. So I highly recommend Abigail. Cracking it and opening up the top 10. Rolling in at number 9, we have Oddity, and Oddity was one of the biggest surprises this year. This is one of those films that genuinely, I think, on this list has some of the creepiest and greatest scares in terms of cinematography, the way this film looks. It's not just necessarily jump scares. There are actual creepy moments in this film that'll make your hair stand on end. And this film is about a twin sister who goes searching after her sister dies. She goes searching for who is responsible for her sister's death using cursed items. And this one, in terms of, like I said, the atmosphere, the performances, the cinematography, Oddity is definitely one of my greatest surprises of this year. Now we're going to talk about some religious horror, and we have Immaculate, and we also did have First Omen that came out this year. There was a lot of religious horror recently that's been coming out, but the one that did it for me is Immaculate, mainly because of that third act. I love the third act. Once we get to that sequence, and Sydney Sweeney's performance is absolutely fantastic in here. The third act is, no pun intended, it's immaculate. I love it. It's kind of like one of those fuck yeah moments, and there's some characters in here that you absolutely love to hate. So I love that. When you give me a film where there's some really disgusting, humans that I want to hate, especially, like I said, there's a lead priest in this movie that you just, oh man, the performance is perfect because you absolutely can't stand this guy. And Immaculate, like I said, I'm not big on religious horror. That's one where they usually have to do a lot to work for me to actually enjoy them and like them. And for me, this was the one that did it this year. Now coming in at our number 7 spot, we have Maxine. This is Ty West's conclusion to the X trilogy, and Mia Goth is an absolute standout and one of my favorite leading ladies in horror right now. And Maxine, the X trilogy, this this is a perfect trilogy. This is a perfect horror trilogy. I'm just gonna say it right now. What Ty West was able to do with X, Pearl, and then Maxine, there's just like, it's hands down going to be one of the greatest trilogies of all time in horror. I know he's talking about doing another one, but I really hope he doesn't. It'd be cool if he did other movies that take place like in the same universe, but I'm kind of done with these characters. I think we've had enough. I think X, Pearl, and Maxine, like I said, is a perfect trilogy for me as a horror fan, and I really hope we keep it there. But yeah, this definitely deserves the number 7 spot on my list. This is dripping with 80s. And I love that time period. And also, like I said, Mia Goth, Kevin Bacon, the performances here, absolutely outstanding. Now we're here at the number 6 spot, and we have Smile 2. And this one for me is the perfect example of why I'm a sequel whore. I love sequels, and Smile 2 did everything that first Smile did for me, but better. This was such a better execution and improvement on the story, the characters, everything. I loved all of everything they did in this film. I loved it better than the first film. Naomi Scott's performance is an outstanding performance and one of the best that I've seen all year as our lead in this film. And like I said, seeing this tragic event of seeing this pop star just kind of go down this road and being stalked by this entity and just seeing what happens to her, like I said, Smile 2 definitely is a slam dunk, one of my favorites of the year. Now we're here at the top 5, and before we get down to that, please like the video. That definitely helps out the channel. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and have that notification bell poked so you're notified anytime I drop a video. And number 5, we are opening up this top 5 with Terrifier 3. Yes, we had some really cool sequels and some really cool franchise films that came out this year, and we had Terrifier 3, Damien Leone bringing us Art again, and Art is just, like I said, cementing himself as that icon, man. He's just totally cementing himself as one of those icons, and I think David Howard Thornton has never been better than he is in this film, Terrifier 3. I think the performances are absolutely fantastic. We have Sienna in here, who is cementing herself as one of the best final girls. More gore sequences. I am a bigger fan of Terrifier 2. I do like that one better, but I love the fact that Terrifier 3 is going to be a Christmas holiday horror film, because that gives us a reason to watch it every single year now. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have a little kind of independent film that kind of came out and snuck under the rug. It was doing the festival circuit, I believe, last year in 2023, but I'm considering it a 2024 movie because that's when I saw it, and that's when Shudder got it, and it's Late Night with the Devil, starring David Dastmalchian, and taking us all the way back to as a period piece to that 70s Carson time era on television, doing a whole kind of seance and a possession kind of or exorcism on television, you know what I mean, trying to get ratings and stuff. I just love the execution of this film and the style and the vibe and everything. And this is another film kind of like what is it on here that had Abigail. It's another film kind of similar to Abigail that had so many charismatic characters that you just love because of the performances. So Late Night with the Devil, I didn't mind the AI like for real at all. There's like a couple AI sequences. I know a lot of people were kind of bitching and moaning about that, but I don't find that like any problem at all. So Late Night with the Devil for me definitely deserves this number 4 spot on top 2024 horror. Now we're here at the top 3, and these were the 3 that absolutely did it for me, the ones that nailed the mark, and for me I think are the long-lasting ones that are going to be heralded as the greatest from 2024. And coming in our 3rd spot, like I said, we had another vampire film on this list, Nosferatu, and Robert Eggers really brought it with this film for real. The gothic aesthetic, taking us back to the 1800s and having Skarsgård deliver that performance. Count Orlok, I think, is the standout performance. In terms of male performances, Skarsgård completely loses himself in this character. Lily Rose Depp does a fantastic job as our leading lady, and you can definitely tell ladies are leading the way in horror. And like I said, this one's dripping with gothic atmosphere. It's creepy. You can feel the dread. It has a great score, and it's also a bit naughty and sexy as well. I want that stuff when I go to a vampire film, so Nosferatu deserves this number 3 spot. If I was going on a technical level and standing objectively outside of myself, kind of looking at all these films, Nosferatu, I think, is actually the best of the year. If I'm going from a creative writing, acting, performance standpoint, and the way the film is structured, I think Nosferatu is the best. But there are two other films I want to talk about that we're going to talk about right now. Coming in at our number 2 spot, getting the silver medal, is going to be The Substance. Yes, this one, I'm a sucker for body horror. That's no secret. That is one of my favorite subgenres of horror, and The Substance was a great surprise. This was the other one that I was talking about with Oddity. Oddity and The Substance were my two greatest surprises all year. And this film with Demi Moore, her performance, give her flowers. She deserves it for real. And the practical effects in here, the gore moments. I have seen some other crazier practical effects and other crazier body horror films. Don't get me wrong, this isn't the craziest body horror film I've ever seen, but it does what I love body horror films do. Give us these weird avant-garde creative stories that are very relatable, but they tackle them in such this artistic way, and the way they use colors in this film and the way it's shot, it's absolutely beautiful to look at. So The Substance deserves this number 2 spot because, like I said, along with Oddity, this was one of my greatest surprises all year. But now we're here at the top spot, and it's no secret, it's going to Alien Romulus. This is the only one that I watched 3 times this year. I did watch most of these films multiple times except for The Substance and Nosferatu. Might be a little bit of recency bias, but both of those films did make it into my top 3 because they are absolutely outstanding films. I did save both of those for the end of the year, and it was really, really tough. And like I said, all 3 of these films hit the mark for me, but this is the 10 out of 10. If I was to give one film this year a 10 out of 10 when it comes to horror films, it's this one right here. I love diving into this universe. In terms of the Alien franchise, this is absolutely one of my favorites. I'm a sucker for sci-fi horror, and what Fede Alvarez did was basically say, move over everybody, stand back, I'm going to bring to you the best Alien film since Aliens, and I will die on that hill and die with that statement. This is absolutely the best Alien film since Aliens. I love the characters in here, and this is the only film this year that got me very emotional, that I felt for the characters. I cared about them, because that's been a big complaint I've heard from a lot of people that watched this film, is that didn't like this film, is that they didn't connect with the characters. I thought the characters in here were absolutely amazing. This young cast, the actors and the performances were off the charts, and just, you felt for them because they wanted to escape this awful place, the Jackson Star mining colony, and just wanted to go to Uvaga, which is this, this amazing planet that is like their new escape. The pastures are greener on the other side. And they end up running into xenomorphs and stuff like that, and having David Johnson as Andy. Absolutely one of the best performances that I've seen this year, and might be my favorite synthetic in the entire Alien franchise. So really, I can't recommend this film enough. Alien Romulus is clear cut because it's very rare. I watch films for a living. I love doing this. I'm a huge cinephile, and there's many, many films I watch, and it's very rare when you have a film that is in a franchise that you love. You have high expectations for it, and when you go see it, it basically meets all those expectations, and that's what Alien Romulus did for me. But this is just my top 10 and honorable mentions of horror films that came out in 2024. Please let me know down below in the comments section what is your list, or shout out some horror films that I didn't talk about, because like I said, this is just my opinion, my thoughts, and the ones that really hit me. And I didn't watch every horror film this year, and I'm going to be doing kind of a worst of or a disappointing list as well. You're going to be seeing that video come out pretty soon too. So like I said, if you didn't see this film, it either was I was mediocre on it, wasn't one of my favorites of the year, or it's going to be on that disappointing list, or I didn't get a chance to see it. So please shout out down below some of your favorite horror films of 2024. But most importantly, you all know what's up. Have a safe and happy holiday and happy new year, and also peace out.